So today I will tell you about the Prime Minister, his appointment, means how he is appointed, his tenure, his position and his power. This much only I will discuss with you. Listen carefully. According to the Constitution of India, okay, there will be a Council of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister. And President, what does the Constitution of India say? The Constitution of India clearly tell us that there will be a Council of Ministers which will be headed by the Prime Minister, and the President of India, he will exercise all his powers, his authorities only on the advice of the Prime Minister. Okay, and why it is mentioned like this? Because ours is a parliamentary form of government where the President is the nominal head of the state and Council of Ministers headed by Prime Minister is the real executive head of the state. This much is clear. Our country, which form of government is having? Parliamentary form of government we are having. So, what is the provision here in the parliamentary form of government? The real executive head is the Prime Minister. Okay, not the President. President is only the nominal head of the country. This much is clear? Now listen. So, this Prime Minister, he is appointed by the President. Okay, but what happens? Actually, President is bound to appoint the leader of the majority party in the parliament as the Prime Minister. It doesn't depend on the will of the President, ki whomsoever he likes, he wishes, he will appoint the Prime Minister. No. After the general election, whosoever is the leader of the majority party in Lok Sabha, he will be invited by the President to form the government. So, President is bound to just appoint the leader of the majority party in Lok Sabha as the Prime Minister. This much is clear? It is only a convention. Convention में एक धारणा होती है कि President appoints the Prime Minister. But what happens here? The President is not totally free. He is bound, okay, to appoint the leader of the majority party as the Prime Minister. Now, the members of the majority party elect their leader in the Lok Sabha to be appointed as the Prime Minister. Now, this leader of the majority party who just elects the party members, they decide who, if the party just wins, then who will become the Prime Minister, who will be the leader of their party. So, this is decided by the party members. Now, let us know but here is here is the one more important thing to note down, and that is sometimes President has to use his discretionary power in case of appointing a Prime Minister. Sometimes President is free to appoint the Prime Minister on his own will and with intellect. When? What are the circumstances? When in general elections no single party gets the clear majority. At that time, President has to take decision which party leader he should invite to form the government and to prove the majority. Okay, and this is the condition. Or sometimes when all of a sudden the Prime Minister just dies and the party doesn't decide whosoever will be the leader, then at that time President's responsibilities increase. But in normal circumstances, he will appoint the leader of the majority party as the Prime Minister. Now, the term of office of the Prime Minister is 5 years. He is appointed for 5 years, but the President may dismiss him before if he loses the majority support in the Lok Sabha. Means if the no confidence motion is passed against the Prime Minister and this Council of Ministers in Lok Sabha by the opposition parties, in that case President can be removed from his office. President will have to resign from his office. Or whensoever he is not able to just serve, he is not able to continue his office, he is due to his illness, sickness, okay, or any other reason, he can resign also. So this is about the tenure. So his tenure, his appointment, they are clear to you. Now listen about the position and powers of the Prime Minister. So Prime Minister, he is the representative of the majority party in Lok Sabha, in Parliament, and he is the real executive head of the country. So first of all, let us know what are the relations between the Prime Minister and the President. Okay, so the Prime Minister is the main advisor of the President. President, as I told you right now, exercises all his powers, all his authorities on the advice of the Prime Minister. Okay, and it is the Prime Minister, he just appoints the Council of Ministers on the just advice of the President appoints the Council of Ministers on the advice of the Prime Minister. The names are decided by the Prime Minister only. So mean to say, Prime Minister is the chief advisor of the President in all the major appointments, whether they are the Supreme Court, High Court judges, all other officials, though they are appointed by the President, but only on the advice of the Prime Minister. Okay. Now, according to the Constitution, it is the duty of the Prime Minister to inform the President about all the decisions of the Council of Ministers which are related to the administration of the country. All the decisions which are taken by the Council of Ministers, Cabinet and the Prime Minister, it is the duty of the Prime Minister to give information to the President. And the Prime Minister advises the President regarding the appointments of important officials, just like I told you right now, Attorney General of India, Comptroller, Auditor General, okay, Chairman, members of the UPSC and election commissioners also. They all are appointed by the President but on the advice of the Prime Minister. So Chief Advisor hai and main informer. What decisions are taken by the government for the country, they all will be informed to the President by the Prime Minister. It is his duty. Okay. Now the President may call for information regarding the affairs of the Union and the Prime Minister has to furnish such information. If sometimes President asks any information, he is willing to acquire some information, then President is bound to just give such information, such details about the administration to the President. President has the right to seek the information about the decisions of the government for the country. Okay. Now let us know about the Prime Minister and the Cabinet. Okay. So Prime Minister actually is the head of the Council of Ministers. The Council of Ministers is just members are just listed by him. He decides who will be the members of the Council of Ministers. Okay, he is the maker of the Council of Ministers. So Prime Minister is the head of this whole this ministry. Now he recommends persons who can be appointed as ministers by the President. All the names of the ministers are suggested only by the Prime Minister. Okay, and it is binding in nature for the President and to allocate them portfolios. Here the President is bound to follow the advice of the Prime Minister in the matter of appointment of the minister. Means he cannot change, even a slight change in the names cannot be made by the President. Okay. Whatever the names, whatever the list is just given by the Prime Minister, President is bound to appoint them as the ministers. And that portfolios also, which department will be given to which minister, it is also decided by the Prime Minister. Okay. He can reshuffle his Council of Ministers whenever he needs to do so. And after the appointment of the ministers, he can reshuffle. He can change the department, he can change the ministers also. So the whole authority, ultimate powers regarding the formation of the Council of Ministers lies with Prime Minister. Okay. Now let us know about the position of Prime Minister in the Parliament. So Prime Minister is the leader of the Lok Sabha in the Parliament and the chief spokesman of the government in the Parliament. क्या पोजीशन है प्राइम मिनिस्टर की पार्लियामेंट में? ही इज द लीडर ऑफ द मेजॉरिटी पार्टी इन लोकसभा. एट द सेम टाइम ही इज द चीफ स्पोक्समैन ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट इन द पार्लियामेंट. ऑल द डिसीजंस ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट, all the announcements on the behalf of the government will be made by the Prime Minister on the floor of the Parliament. He is the chief spokesman, and whenever an unwanted situation arises in the Parliament, the matter generally ends with the intervention of the Prime Minister. Sometimes the opposition members, they become unruly, indisciplined. Whenever they get a chance, they just start discussion, arguing some matter in the Parliament. Then that matter comes down only with the interference of the Prime Minister. He addresses the House, and then the whole matter just binds up. Okay. Now, so this was the position of the Prime Minister in relation with the President, in relation with the Council of Ministers, and his position in the Parliament. Now, let us know the Prime Minister as the leader of the nation. So, Prime Minister, he represents the country, he represents the nation, and he decides the kinds of relations India would have with other countries. What type of relations will a country maintain with foreign countries? It is also decided by the Prime Minister. Foreign relations means diplomacy. Okay, it is also decided with the Prime Minister. He tries to protect the interests of the country in the international forums. इंटरनेशनल फोरम्स पर वो अपने कंट्री के इंटरेस्ट की बात करता है. ही ट्राइज टू प्रोटेक्ट द इंटरेस्ट ऑफ द कंट्री, एंड ही इज द एक्स ऑफिशियो चेयरमैन ऑफ द नीति आयोग और नेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशन फॉर ट्रांसफॉर्मिंग इंडिया आयोग दैट रिप्लेसेस प्लानिंग कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया, एंड ही इज ऑल्सो द चेयरमैन ऑफ एटॉमिक एनर्जी कमीशन. Okay, this is the Prime Minister's position, or he is this position as the leader of the country. Okay. Now, till here, whatever I have told you, it just gives you the information that Prime Minister is having the supreme powers. In many spheres, his powers are ultimate. So, the question arises, is there any check on the powers of the Prime Minister? Can be checked? Can the common people or the Parliament, anyone can check if he misuses his powers? How we can check Prime Minister from misusing the powers? If he start violating the Constitution, by just introducing the no confidence motion. So the Prime Minister is the leader of the majority party, and he has to ensure the support of his party as well as the ministers. Now Prime Minister alone, he cannot run the government. He needs the support of his party members, all the ministers. Okay, and Parliament keeps an effective check on the powers of the Prime Minister. So Parliament, it also has several methods to check the powers of the Prime Minister. The Parliament exercises control over the Prime Minister through question hour, calling attention motion, no confidence motion, and other discussions. So main methods, जो आपके तरीके हैं, मेथड्स हैं, स्टेप्स वी कैन से, ठीक है, टू जस्ट चेक द पावर्स ऑफ द प्राइम मिनिस्टर. दे आर जस्ट नो कॉन्फिडेंस मोशन एंड क्वेश्चन आवर. Okay, they are in your syllabus. So you have just learnt it. No confidence motion, it is clear to you, or we can discuss in our next video. Okay, so today we will just discuss only this much: position and powers of the Prime Minister, his appointment, his tenure, and Prime Minister as the leader of the nation. In the next video, I will discuss with you about the Council of Ministers and collective and individual responsibility. Okay, and some of the motions also in detail. Okay.